The goal today with this video is to show you how to hand sew. Now, a sewing machine is kind of intimidating to some guys, and they can run chainsaws and build motors and all kinds of things, but the little sewing machine somehow is intimidating. So we can do a lot with just hand sewing. Right here we have a variety of needles, everything from the larger eye and a much more stout needle, and going down to finer needles for light sewing. We got a couple buttons here, and we're going to show how to put those on, one with 4 holes, one with 2. Some super glue here. We got some lightweight key rings we're going to use for our tarp. Some fabric strips that I actually made with silk nylon in a sewing machine. We've got a candle for heat sealing, and we've got various fabrics here. My scissors, and you can use smaller scissors too. And the thing we're going to do when we learn how to hand sew is we're going to choose a needle, and we're going to choose one with an eye big enough that we can easily see it. I've got some black thread here so we can see our stitches. Go ahead and thread that through. Give yourself a decent length, not too much. And I tie a little knot in it because it's just easier to get started that way. And hold it. Now the first thing we're going to do is demonstrate how to sew a running stitch. Now, we would do this to hold things in place. Stick it in the back side here, that little knot. It won't even show. You're just folding it over, like say if you had to hem something, and just kind of poke it in and out. And very simple. Just in and out, and just pull it. Now the closer your stitches, the stronger it's going to be. If you had to gather it, just pull on it and see how that gathers it up. And this is something you'd use if you had a big circle and you gathered the top. You'd be starting to create a water sack. It would have no seams in it. You just start with a great big circle and gather it around the top. Put a handle on it. Okay. If you wanted to add a pocket to something, a little square piece of mesh, I have finished it at the top here. It could be added to a pack. I've heard people charge as much as $25 to put a simple little pocket on someone's pack. So if you had a piece of mesh, you can heat seal the edges. Light a candle and just pass the flame next to this edge. This is a way you can finish anything that has a nylon or synthetic fabric. I've used this method on the trail when I got holes in my tights. Cut off the feet, heat seal it around the bottoms, and wear them like leggings. So as you can see, I finished the edges here, and that makes a nice little trim pocket edge. About having a finished edge here, simply use your basting stitch before you add it to your gear. Fold it under and just run your basting stitch. I would still heat seal it first just to keep things from fraying. So a nice fold, and then when you add it to your pack, you just are going to sew it right on there. Clean little edge that you can put on your pack. That is another way to utilize the running or basting stitch. It's an orange fabric. It's a coated ripstop orange. Just a small little ditty bag with that. Now determine which is the right side. The side that you want on the outside when you're all done. I want the shiny side on the outside because it's going to repel water. You may want the matted side on the outside, but I'm putting the shiny sides together because when I'm all done and I turn this inside right, I'm going to have the shiny on the outside. So you want your seam on the inside. So thread the needle. This time let your knot be on the side that you're working on, because you're going to flip this over and it won't be visible. Give yourself a little bit of space here, like about a ½ inch. If you're too close to the edge, any amount of pressure in there is going to blow that seam right out. You're going to stuff this thing, and the threads will get so close to the edge, it'll just make it come right out. This is a woven fabric, which means it's not knit together, it's woven, so any amount of pressure is going to pull those apart. So this is a very strong stitch. Put your needle in. Now, if you wanted to, you can, mark this off with a straight line. You can also pin the edges to help it hold it in place, so it doesn't slide too far. So once you got your big stitch, back space a little bit, and bring it out ahead, kind of overlocking it, giving it, so you're always like going back where you came from, then a little bit in advance. Kind of playing leapfrog here. This is something any guy can handle. A guy made his whole pack just with hand sewing. Personally, I would learn how to use a sewing machine if I was going to get into a lot of gear making. Okay, so see how I'm like, and then I come out ahead, like forging new ground. Then I back trail a little bit. And this creates a very solid stitch. My needle's not very blunt because I'm going through an 1.3 ripstop, so I don't want to have something that's so heavy like you'd use for blue jeans and poke great big holes in this thing. When you turn a corner, and just start where you were and keep going. Back trail, forge ahead. Back trail and forge ahead. Okay. Now, I could use a safety pin that would help hold this more square for me. I can also trim the edges. And one way of sealing this so it doesn't fray on you is either by using a super glue to run along those rough edges, or heat sealing it like we showed you with that pocket. And you'll know you've done a good job heat sealing them edges because they'll pull back just a little bit. Careful, this stuff does catch on fire.